Hey guys, Vanity Ezel back on Cafe Vanguard, as on the Vanity Weekly Review, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and also shall we. This time we are covering more cards from DZ Set 2, actually the final cards of DZ Set 2, as after this video is released, I believe they're doing an unboxing, so let's go into the start, shall we, and see what we got, because we have another new ride line, in the form of Faded one, the other ride line being the Lyrical Monasterio one, and we have the most questionable line of support in my mind, but we rolled it anyways because we're not the ones that control the creation of the card, but she does. So let's get this started. First up, we have Soar Faster to save precious lives, grade 3 normal order. Ship to 3 normal units from with the same card name as any of your units from your drop zone. Put them to bottom of your deck in any order. If you chose 3 or more cards, draw a card. Okay, pretty much what this means is you pick a unit that's on your board, pick up to 3 normal units from your drop zone with the same name as that unit, and then you bot deck them, and then if you do, you get to draw a card, which all around is nice. It allows you to recycle very important units back to your deck and increases your hand, and this will definitely be really useful in the upcoming Lyrical deck that we saw debuted in the anime's most recent episode, Siblings, where it wants to have multiple of the same unit in deck, while yes, some of them do get bound. If you find a way to put stuff from bind zone back into drop zone, or you just end up boozing all of your early combo or all of your pieces early, you can then just bot deck them with the order. So all around it is a nice card, possible tech in that deck, so I would say 2 of maybe. Then we have the most questionable support I was talking about earlier, Aurora Battle Princess Corner Citrus, grade 2 set 5k shield, 10k base. Seeing her makes me so disappointed, but auto when she's placed on rear guard circle, your opponent chooses a card from that drop zone in your prison. If you imprisoned, energy bots 3 to draw a card, so unless they have no drop zone cards, you get a free draw with basically the same cost the energy does, except you get a free imprison on it too. And then auto rear guard, when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard Seraph and its card name attacks, if you have 3 or more opponents' cards are in your prison, this unit will get plus 10,000 power for that turn. And if there are 5 or more cards, current boss won't stand this unit. Okay. I don't hate that skill. It's good, don't get me wrong, because if Seraph swings first, she's a 20. If she swings first, well, she's in 10, then she becomes a 20 with a possible restand. But man, it's so disappointing how Bushy keeps giving every single deck a restander. Listen, the point they made the counter heals for was for the decks that either were restanders or for the decks that were critical gainers. Some of them, yes, acted as both. But then Seraph had to do both, because to my memory, this is the only restander Seraph has. I think the only other thing that immediately comes to mind is that one grade 3 that was released, I think, right after, it was like somewhere in between Well Dressed Season 1, where I think it was Lemon. I think she got crits, though, instead of restanding. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, Citrus she's good, don't get me wrong. She's a 4 in prison. I just don't like the fact that prison got supported. It felt like it could have gone to Velstra, because, every other Faded one got supported this set except for Velstra, and I feel like this card could have gone to it, but whatever, it is what it is. Then we have Series of Laughs Shama, so Shanuma, grade 3, 200%, 13k base, auto rear guard, when she attacks into a Vanguard, energy blast 4, your opponent chooses one of the rear guards, retires it, and this unit can put 5,000 power for that turn, and if you do not retire rear guards, you still charge 2. All around, it's cool. Most of the Dark Side decks don't really take up energy outside of Orsa Largest, and you're probably not going to use Orsa Largest anyway, so you can use it to eat out a rear guard and get more numbers, and if they not need out a rear guard, you get more soul drop on pretty solid. The only downside is the decks that you would run this in, like Barrow Magnus or Favrenio or something of the sorts, typically have better soul chargers and also have cards that want EB. So as much as I think Shanuma is a good grade 3, I don't think you're going to run her unless you're playing budget. So if you're playing budget, she's a good 3 of option, but if you're not, you know what I mean. Then we have Mind Hacker. Okay, so he comes out a week after we get Black Demire. Grade 1, actually 3 weeks after we get Black Demire. Grade 1 boost 5k shield, 8k base. Continues rear guard circle. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Black Demire's card name, he'll get plus 5,000 power and 5,000 shield active on both first turns. So we've had all of these grade 1s with all of them, weirdly enough, except for Velstra, which I guess makes sense, because I guess Velstra did have Wekton beforehand, but it is interesting that Volster's the only one that didn't get one. But either way, though, it is a 13 and 10. Actually, so does Zorga. Zorga didn't get one either. Interesting. Either way, though, it's a 13-10. It's not great, especially when you consider the other Black Demire supports are far more aggressive. But if you're having defensive troubles with Black Demire, then here's your support card. Then we have our new Flame G line, or Flame Gram, as I was told it was pronounced, though I'm not going to call it that because I'm going to forget it immediately. So, Flame G Berkeley, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto road point for draw card, standard starter. No special about it. This actually is important, though, for the overall Flame G deck, because the entirety of their ride line requires it to be on Vanguard Circle in some way, shape, or form. So, moving on, we have the grade 1 Flame G Joanna, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto road upon by a grade 2 card Flame G in its card name, to 1 Flame G Berkeley from your soul soul, call that card in this card to rear guard circle, and then if your turn, put those units into your soul. So cool, gets you early game aggro, and as an aggro player, I really love that a lot. And then auto rear guard, anything about this unit attacked into anything. If you have a Vanguard Flame G, Berkeley in his card name, retire this unit, countercharge 1, or to be more specific, it is Berkeley, not if it has it in its card name. So cool. It gets a free countercharge by retiring itself. It opens up rear guard circles and allows for early game aggro. Obviously, I'm 100% biased towards this card. I love it a lot. I think it's an amazing 4 of 3 of in the main deck, obviously 1 in the ride deck. Then we have Flame G Vet. Okay, in terms of art, out of all 3 of these, or all of 4 of them, she is my favorite actually. I don't know why. I like the green flames the most and her hair the most. I can't explain why. Anyways, Vet, grade 2 and 5k shield tank. It basically auto she's upon by a grade 3 card Flame G in its card name. If you have a Vanguard that's if you have a Flame G Berkeley in your soul, draw 2 bot deck a hand card, which okay, cool, ways to recycle triggers and increase your hand. And then auto rear guard the value that this unit attacked into anything. If your Vanguard's a Flame G Berkeley, soul boss will retire herself. Choose one opponent's rear guards, kill it. Cool, and get rid of your opponent's rear guards very easily. She's into the soul, which could be detrimental since obviously you want to have Berkeley in your soul, which could end up leading to soul problems with the deck, but Lyra Commissary has good ways to soul charge and get cards on board. And the reason why I specify that is because to get cards on board, Rose ends up using soul. And the reason why I specify this is because her skills, or her stats, first upgrade 3 to 9% 13k base. Then her skills, act Vanguard, once per turn, soul boss 1, search your deck to soul for up to 1 grade 2 lower card Flame Giant's card name, call it to rear guard. If you search your deck, you shuffle it. So cool, free rear guard, which is nice. And then the important part, the reason why you want to have soul for this deck, auto Vanguard at the end about this unit attacked into anything. If you have 3 or more Flame G's with units with different card names, so herself, Vet, and Joanna, and I specified these 3 because unless you're me and are insane, you're not running Berkeley in your main deck, which means you only have these 3 Flame Gs because for some reason they chose not to give any of these 3 that name for whatever reason that may be. But if you have those 3 different names on board, counter boss will choose a Flame G Berkeley from your soul right at a stand until the end of turn. That unit will lose all of its abilities and it will gain 2k power for each card in you and your opponent's damage zones combined. At the end of your turn, choose a Flame G Rosia from your soul or drop zone right at his rest. So cool. You can soul boss this during the battle phase after you superior ride, you can still superior ride from drop zone, which is good. That's a benefit. That was the one thing you couldn't really do with Youthberg, because if you soul blasted out Youthberg, either because you had to or because you messed up, automatically you can't do plays because you can't superior ride the thing in soul, and well, you're stuck on something that can't actually revolve dress. And even if you like hard ride from your hand into Skyfall Art or something like that, you're not going to get the Persona benefit, which was kind of like the main number benefit of Youthberg. But you know, 2k is great per like each card in damage zones. Like say for example, both you and your opponent have 4. That's a free +8. Wait, no, that's not. That's a free +16, which all around is pretty solid. 5 obviously, 5 for both obviously means a +20, which is good. So Rosie is good for the attacks. It's just that her deck definitely heavily falls apart by the fact that only 3 of the units actually have Flame G in the card name, not counting the starter, because most likely not running the starter in the main deck. Literally, if just either any one of these had the name Flame G, this deck would have been so much better, even if it's just one, because you would have had more targets. But let's move on to the support cards. Fly Higher, My Heart, Pearson, grade 2 and 5k shield tank base. Auto and put on guard circle, put a Flame G from your drop zone to bottom. This unit will get plus on as a shield for that battle, so 15k shield. Nice. I wish this was searchable via her, but you know what? We'll take it as we get, because she could at least bot deck herself if she was a Flame G, but we take what we can get. 4 of, because you just need Flame Gs back in deck, especially when they're constantly killing themselves for resources. Then we have overcoming numerous failures, Amadukia. Okay, after playing the deck with, on accident, not realizing that the support cards were not Flame Gs, because it would make sense to someone who's waking up at like 1 in the morning to play this deck. You would assume that the cards are all Flame Gs, even though you're not looking at the name. But Amaduka is the most broken if she was a Flame G, which is fair that they didn't make her one, but they could have made either of these 2 a Flame G, and it would have made it so much better. Anyways, auto she's placed on rear guard, so go top 3 of your deck, choose up to 1 card Flame G from one of them, add it to your hand, put the rest on bottom. Cool, she can literally search the entirety of the ride line. Too bad that's as far as that extent goes. And then continues rear guard. If you have a Vanguard Flame G as a card name, she'll get boost. I would say that that's like a worthy benefit to make this card better. Like, oh, it has boost. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I was misplaying with that deck, as I said earlier, and the funny thing is, that boost never came in handy. Because, you know, well, yeah, I had a bunch of Flame Gs, I always had access to, I don't know, Vet and pretty much an entire back row of grade 1s. That boost is not useful. If they just got rid of this effect and instead actually made her a Flame G and this was the only effect she had, I kid you not, this card would have actually been good. Don't get me wrong, her search skill's fine, but again, lack of Flame Gs. coming to bite you. That boost literally does nothing. I'm telling you that right now. They could have just taken that array and given her the Flame G name. Would have made it so much better. 4 of, though, because it's a searcher, and, you know, we kind of need it. Then we have Dive to Blue Lycris. Okay, the reason why I'm mad that not one of the support cards is Flame G, because her skill is so good, but you don't pull it off well enough because you have a lack of Flame Gs. If you can't tell, I'm really mad about this. Great 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard once per turn when your Vanguard Flame G and its card name attacks. Counter boss 1, bot deck a Flame G, draw a card until end of your turn. You get all your units with Flame G in their card name, get plus 5,000 power. Oh, look at that. Only few of them will actually get the numbers, while the other half of your board doesn't. If just one of them, just one of these 3 had the name, so much better. Just one of them. All of them, yeah, definitely would have obviously been a lot better, but just one of them would have been so much better. I don't care which one it would have been. But no, just no. And that's such a fun skill to use because, well, yeah, it's 1 per turn per card. If you have 2 on the board, it does proc twice. She's a 4 of because she bot decks and she gets numbers and hand cards, but so much better. So much better. Then we have, the other faded one that's actually getting support. Sorry, Valstra, I guess you're getting sidelined this time. Loving Pink Francette, great chance at 5k shield, 10k base. Okay, to be fair, though, she is actually a good support card for Chris Rain. Auto rear guard when she's chosen by the ability of your Vanguard that's great through a greater Chris Rain. Choose over Vanguards and get plus 10,000 power for that turn. Okay, for those of you wondering, the only ability Chris Rain has out target is the one that gives it plus 15k. So while this will be a 25k without Persona Rides, the Vanguard will be a total of 23k without Persona Rides because Francette would just had over 10 of that k, which all around is pretty solid. So, you know, it is a way to help increase Chris Rain's numbers on turns that you are not going straight for the divine skill because you can't kill that turn. So instead of giving your rear guards more numbers, even in that case, even if you're going on the divine skill turn, maybe your rear guards need a little bit more pressure, so you give them to your Francette instead, simply because this is only a difference of 5k, which granted can make the difference at the end of the day, but depending on where you're going and where it's going and also how you're playing it, it could actually benefit you to give it to the rear guard instead. And then auto rear guard when this attacks on anything. If you have 3 more units with different card names, including herself and the Vanguard, so all you need is 1 more rear guard. That's a different card name, you automatically have it. She'll get plus 5,000 power for that battle, or for the turn actually. And if you have 4 more units with different card names, at the end of that battle, choose one of your other rear guards and bounce it to hand. So cool, if you have 1 more different name unit on top of all those other ones I just named, you get to bounce another one to hand, which all around is pretty solid. It's a way that you can just call triggers or PGs to the board and be aggressive with them and then bounce them back at the end of the turn, so you can still be defensive if you need to, which is what I felt like was the main problem of Chris Rain, where the demo deck actually did better because not only does the ride line have a consistent PG searcher, but also they could just rush with it and then bounce it back before your opponent could do anything about it. But Francette pretty much brings us back to that, so I think she's an amazing card, and Chris Rain either 3 or 4 of, depending on how you build your Chris Rain deck. Go check out my deck profile when it eventually goes up on Saturday, because I do specify why I run her as a 3 of in my personal Chris Rain deck. And then we have Someday I'll Sing a Song Just For You, Sika. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, aka base. Auto when she's placed on rear guard. So if you don't have another rear guard, same card name as this unit, perform one of the following. If you have 4 or more units, counter boss 1, draw a card. So cool. Way to increase the hand. And energy boss 3, she'll get plus 10 power for that turn. Okay. On the bright side is she works while your opponent, regardless of what grade either of you are at. So she's a possible way just to get draws. And if you play Chris Rain like I do, you will probably have this ability fulfilled the second you get CB. So cool for you on that free draw, but you're probably going to use this half the time because Chris Rain can get free energy and she costs CB, so 18k boost to and/or Swinger is a pretty nice solid as well. And again, she can work well before either of you get to grade 3, so you know, early game rusher, very solid card. 3 of, I say 3 of because again, she is a 3 of in my personal Chris Rain deck. Well, it's a deck profile when it comes out because I do actually explain why. Then we have Courteous Supporter. When I thought we were going to get arena support, especially with a very specific grade 1 that comes after this, I imagined this arena support would be better than it actually was. I understand why it's this. I genuinely do. But I feel like this wasn't necessary. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Active rear guard once per turn. Soul boss 1, ditch a hand card. Choose an arena card from your drop zone or one that is face up in your damage zone. Put it to your hand. If you put from damage zone to hand, put the top card of your deck into your damage zone, presumably face up. Okay. That's not bad, don't get me wrong. The deck, or at least the way I play, definitely has a lot of excess soul it can dig into. Replacing a hand card with an order is nice. My issue is, at least from my experience, the deck does not have problems seeing orders. It doesn't. The grade 1 gets you a free run. The grade 2 will most likely hit you one. And for the record, most of the time I do not hit an order off of the grade 2. And yet I'm still consistently pulling off the 3 orders. So that goes ahead and tells you that you don't even need the grade 2 for that. Granted, I hard draw one of the other orders and then I just like the other one just shows up on its own. And yes, one of them does get damage check, but again, I only need 3 for my skill, so I don't really need Courteous Supporter. But if you need him, you can use him. I just feel like we didn't need a card that could fetch out an order. I do love damage zone interference because, you know, we got screwed over with that in both Razio and Lyriel, but I did kind of expect more from Courteous Support, especially after seeing the next grade 1 we're about to go over because of how good it is. But you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So it's a good 4 of, or I guess if you really want to run it. And then we have this thing, the reason why I'm so disappointed in Supporter, and the reason why I genuinely this morning when I saw this card revealed. By the way, it is Monday, April 1st, 7:03 p.m. The morning that I saw this card revealed, I legitimately just looked at my iPad, which is what I was looking at Discord on, and just questioned why Black Demire needed this. Like, what argument, excuse can we give it? Because I don't think Black Demire needed this at all. But sure, or at least not now. But sure, screw it. Why not? Let's just throw in a card because we can. Grade 1, Boost, Favka Shield, AK Base, Steam Artist Arvam. Auto when placed on rearguard circle, Soul Charge 1. If you have a grade 3 rearguard of Vanguard, Black Demire's card name, instead of Soul Charging 1, you get to look at the top 2, choose up to 2 cards from among them, put them into your soul, and if you did not put exactly 2 cards, you shuffle your deck. Okay, cool. Selective Soul Charge, specifically better than Ling, which means I have to go, when the deck profile goes up, I have to go comment to replace Ling with this, because not only does it Soul Charge, so it could proc off Brainwash, but even if you don't Soul Charge off it, you get 2 Selective Soul Charge, which possibly hit more of the really cool grade 3, the Colossus, who can then bind himself, draw you 2 cards, and bring you closer to Black Demire's end cost, and mean Black Demire procs while your opponent's at grade 2. Again, still a hard thing to do, but this card just made it a hell of a lot more consistent than it needed to be. And then the other skill, Auto back row rearguard circle, doesn't matter where in the back row, at the end of your turn, if the critical of your Vanguard with Black Demire was increased by a Divine Skills ability this turn, specifically a Divine Skill, so you can't just give it a Crypt View, whatever the hell, it has to be a Divine Skill, retire this unit to draw a card. Really, a once per game draw. A once per game draw on a card, on top of a card that's already giving you a draw. Okay, but that's not it. If none of your other units with the same name as this unit is retired this turn, your opponent gets at the beginning of your ride phase, choose a card from your hand, and you may discard it. If you do not discard, you cannot ride or stride until the end of your turn, until the end of your opponent's next turn. So let me get this straight. Black Demire, who by all means did not need it, got another Soul Charger and a Selective Soul Charger in the same skill, not even in the same card, in the same skill. And then on top of that, they, for some reason, arbitrarily got a card that was like, if your opponent survives the Divine Skill turn, where they are probably severely crippled, you are then going to get a draw on top of all of your drive checks and your draws from beforehand to make it harder for your opponent to kill you, but then you're also, thankfully, post-draw, so they're allowed to draw before they discard, but after they draw, they are then forced to discard a card, and if they don't, they can't ride, and they can't stride, so they can't Persona ride their way out of this. No, I truly do not believe within my heart of hearts that we needed this, at least not now. They could have waited a set. They could have waited 2 sets. I truly refuse to believe for a second Bushy willingly chose to put this here. I feel like this card was not meant to be here, that this was meant to be a future support card, and then in testing, Bushy realized Black Demire was weak, and then they rammed this into it, and then they realized that Black Demire was actually stronger than it was, and then it was too late to take it back. That's what I truly choose to believe, because that's the only way I get to keep my sanity. 4 of, but so begrudgingly. And then we move on to our last reviews for the day and the final cards of Booster Set 2, which are the cutest Century units. First up, we have Player of Ophant Belanista, so the starter for the new Leo line, so grades of boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto opponent, few 1-second draw card, standard starter. That's about it. I really do love the angel theme of the new ride line. I just wish that, you know, they were more angelic in their skills, but after reading Leo's new skill, I actually am kind of intrigued by them. So then we also have player of the lovely harp Adorphus, Great on boost, 5k shield, 8k base, autumn, which is ruled upon by player of beautiful chord Angelia. So last one to draw 2 cards and bot deck or discard normally from your hand. If you not discard one, choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them. Okay. Its skill is good, don't get me wrong, because it is 2 free hand cards and you most likely will always have a normal unit, but it is in a deck that where if you do not pull a normal unit, you are dropping 2 triggers, which isn't really good because this deck cannot bot deck triggers, or at least with the support it currently has. So it's like Rancor Chain, but worse, because Rancor Chain wants to have your drop zone filled up, and this does not. So, I don't know, her skill's fine, but the fact that she kind of forces you to drop 2, and it could make you drop 2 triggers, kind of sucks, but I mean, at the same time, you can use it to drop 2 normal units, which is beneficial for the grade 2 skill, which is player of the beautiful Corda Gelia, so she's ruled upon by a grade 3 Leo in its card name. She's had a number of numbers from your drop zone bot deck limit. If you chose 3 or more cards, draw a card. All are pretty solid because it pretty much makes your ride deck for the last few turns free because you just kept filling up your drop zone, then you send them back to deck, then you draw a card, so you didn't really lose anything. And that's what I love about this ride line so far. It basically means that unless you only discarded triggers, which you probably won't, you are probably safe, and that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game because she literally can send any number of normal units from the drop zone to the bottom, and you can pretty much play off of that. Alright, I do actually love Angelia's skill. I do think she's actually really nice, so I do love this ride line so far. And then we have Faded One of Time, Leo Amarota, so her skill actually disappointed me until I realized she had a 3rd skill, and then I read that one and I was actually intrigued by her. So Faded One of Time, Leo Amarota, so auto Vanguard when she attacks at anything. Current boss 1, choose one of your rear guards bind it, or after 1 card, the same card name as that card, call it to rear guard and shuffle your deck. Okay, so we already knew about the auto attack skill. We'll leave the 2nd skill for later. Divine skill, auto Vanguard, then about this unit attacked. If your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, choose a card from your draw zone, say a card name as this unit merit as stand, and if you rode, that unit loses a drive for the turn, which always pretty solid because superior ride, more Vanguard attacks, and by default, that means you can use this skill again, meaning just with the Vanguard and rear guard alone in the Divine skill turn, you pull up 4 attacks, which is pretty solid. And then the ability that we all pretty much now know Akina is most likely going to use in his match against Suo, because enough people made the prediction that Leo is going to be used in Ezel. Auto when put on guard circle. Discard a card from your hand and put 2 cards from your bind zone on the bottom of your deck. Okay, maybe not in Ezel in hindsight, because I don't think he binds, but actually, wait, no, it's any 2 cards from your bind zone to the bottom of the deck. Choose whatever units with Fatal One in its card name, and it cannot be hit on a battle. This is the sneakiest way Bushy went about making a card that hard counters Black Demire, and is probably going to be used in Ezel, because it's any 2 cards in your bind zone, so you can bot deck them, which does work for Leo's, mechanic of wanting to put the bind units back in a deck so you can keep calling them, but also acts as a pseudo PG, which gets around Black Demire. I am willing to bet 100% Akina uses this and uses as like a fake PG. I'm not disappointed in the skill. I think that's really cool. I'm just saying that is a very sneaky thing but she did, but cool. I actually think that's really cool, and I actually can't wait to test the card out for that. And then we have Salar Dragon, grade 3 to Persona, 13k base. Contains rear guard if your bind zone has a card of the same name as any of your units. This unit could plus lots of power, so cool, 23k, which is very easy to do in this deck, so it's a nice 23k body, which is nice. Take a shot every time I said nice in that sentence. And then we have Magic of Stimulants Euphoria, so grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Contains rear guard during battle, she boosts if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard lead on her card name. This unit could plus 5 power, so the standard new grade 1 with 5k power, and a skill that specifically activates when it boosts Leo, and then the effect that activates when she boosts Leo. Auto rear guard when this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Leo on its card name. This unit will get another 2k power, so 15k booster. And then Soul Blast 1 to choose up to 1 card of the same card name as any of your units from your drop zone, bot deck it, and then choose one of your units, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. All are pretty solid because, say for example, you were gonna call this from your deck and bind the one on rear guard, but you only had all of them out of deck. So then what you do, if one of them is in drop zone, you boost with Euphoria with Leo, then you Soul Blast 1 to bot deck the Salvar Dragon in the drop zone, and then get an extra 2k power and give 5k to the Vanguard, and then the Vanguard uses its skill to therefore bind the Salvar on rear guard and then call the new Salvar that was placed back in deck. Alright, I actually do like a Euphoria skill. She's nice for setting that up, and not to mention the fact that she just helps recycle cards in general, and she doesn't specify normal units, which is the important part, meaning she can bot deck triggers if you call a trigger to rear. Let's go. Bot decking triggers, 4 of, just for that reason alone. Then we have Sword Saint of a Terrant Idoris, so grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base, continues rear guard during your turn. If you have a card with the same card name as this unit in your bind zone, gets plus 1,000 power, so 20k. All pretty solid because that's really easy to do in this deck as we saw earlier. And then auto unbound from your rear guard during your turn. If you have grade 3 or greater Vanguard Leo in its card name, Soul Boss 1, draw a card, choose a Vanguard, it gets plus 5,000 power. So bind, so swing with it for 20k, or on the first turn 10k, then use Leo's skill to bind it, and then call another copy. This skill will then proc to Soul Boss 1, draw a card, and Leo's power becomes 18k, and then the rear guard wins a 20k. Okay, that's a 4 of. That's actually a really good support card, and I love how the knight is like the triple rare because I'm a fan of knights, so I think that's actually really cool. So this is a good 4 of. Then we have Grargon. So I originally thought this was going to be Leo's specific 5k support card. Then I saw its skill and immediately understood, without even needing to read the English text, that this card works for both of them, and I was right. Great on boost, 5k shield, 8k base, continues rear guard. If your unit was placed by the ability of Vanguard Divine skill this turn, never mind. Actually, well, yeah, no, it does work with it because it's any unit is. Yeah, if any unit was placed by your ability with the Vanguard of Divine skill, so a rear guard can be placed via Raziel skill, or Leo can be placed by Leo's own skill, or her attack skill. This unit gets auto rear guard at the end of battle. This unit boosted, retire it, and countercharge 1, and it'll also gain 5,000 power. All around pretty solid because it's a 13k booster that countercharges in both decks just based off of what we've seen. Typically take up a lot of CB, so I definitely know I'm going to run this in Raziel over Aerial Sage because I never really used the discard effect. I just have to hope that Leo can afford to run this, as in they don't have space, but I'm pretty sure it will. All around, I do love how they got a unique support card that works for both of them, along with, you know, the instant PG effect over here. So yeah, this is a 4 of. Then we have our last card, and that is Knight of Bowstreaks Nimbus, grade 2 and SF, 5k shield, 10k base, auto when placed on rear guard by the ability of your grade 3 or greater Vanguard's ability, it gets plus 10,000 power. Oh, grade 3 or greater Vanguard's ability. Looks like both of them have a card that work with each other. And then auto rear guard at the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Raziel's card name, Energy Blast 3, and put this unit to soul. Finally, we have a Raziel specific card that actually uses energy. Draw a card, look at the top card of your deck, put it to top or bottom. Cool. Deck stacks, so you can miracle either during your drive check or during your damage check, like Akina did against the sister. It goes to soul, so if you're having soul problems with Raziel because you kept using no be a skill 24/7, wink wink, nudge nudge, you can kind of fix it with that. All around Nimbus is a very solid grade 2. I think he's actually really good, and I cannot wait to run him, so he's an easy 4 of in Raziel. Now, without further ado, that's it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. I believe those are the final cards of DZ set 2, and if they're not, well, the next video I'll cover the rest of them. But if you excuse me, I'm gonna go test out Armor Rota because I really want to see this skill go off. So I'll see you all next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, switch, and don't forget to set up your Vanguards.